So Dad, what are we sowing now?
We're doing salad onions today, Tess, and so I like to just put seed compost in here, and once we've got it in, just firm it down, and then refill.
Okay, so how deep do we need to sow the seeds?
About a centimetre deep, so that's sort of fingernail depth. And then we're going to sow about 9 seeds in each of these module cells. And so I just like to take a pinch and just drop them in. And you kind of, after a while, you get used to the feel of the number of seeds, so you don't have to count them very carefully. It doesn't really matter how many, sort of between the range of like 6 and 10. And in some ways it's useful to have a bit of a variety there, because if you put 6 in, they're going to come ready earlier than if you put 10 in. And since you're not likely to want to harvest them all at the same time, it's actually pretty useful to have just a mix of numbers.
So where do we store these now, Dad?
So onions, they germinate over a really wide range of temperatures. So, sort of right down to sort of 5 degrees to mid 20s. So you can pretty much germinate if you want. I like to germinate them about 18 degrees, which is generally a kind of north facing windowsill in a house.
So Dad, why have we brought these from home?
Well, these now, they're about I don't know, probably 10 days old, something like that. They're just starting to germinate. And, this time of year, sort of March time, it's nice really, I think, to get them somewhere bright and cooler. Because if they were sort of in a house, there's not enough light, and they do just tend to sort of get really leggy and floppy.
Okay.
But in a nice cool place, they grow slower. So, yeah, perfect timing.
So how old are these plants now?
So these are about 6 weeks old now, Tess, and so we're going to plant these out. I love these trays because you can just pop them out like this. It makes it really easy.
Yeah.
And yeah, they don't need any protection now because we're sort of early April sort of time. So let's get these in. So we're just going to plant them down the edge of this bed, and the ground's quite dry at the moment, so I'm giving it a bit of a pre-water. We're just going to dib these holes with this old fork handle and kind of leave 4 to 6 inches between them. And this is going to be a brassica bed, actually Brussels sprouts. But down this edge here, we've just got the opportunity between these wild rocket plants to squeeze in these few salad onions. So I like to make these holes just a little bit deeper than the size of the module, so I can kind of just push them in slightly, so they're just 2 centimeters perhaps deeper than the surface, and that means the roots are further down and less likely to dry out. And it also just makes this really nice little depression here that captures the water and keeps them, makes it easier to keep them well watered.
Yeah. So Dad, why have we started these in modules?
It just allows us to get a nice early start. In fact, if you grow in modules, you can have salad onions like all year round, and they're such a great crop.
Yeah. And why have we got so many in each module?
Well, it basically comes down to saving money and space. And if
Yeah.
you start 9 seeds in each module, you probably get sort of 6 to 8 germinating. And obviously, if you wanted to do that and have 1 seed in each module, you need a lot more module trays, a lot more compost, and a lot more space to grow them in.
Yeah.
So it's just really convenient. And of course, the real beauty of it is that when it comes to harvest time, you just pick a little bunch.
Yeah. So Dad, how do we harvest these now?
Well, you can either just kind of pull them straight out the ground and just kind of gently kind of ease them out like that, and they come out with all the roots, or you can kind of snip them off as well with a pair of scissors, and then that just kind of leaves the roots in the ground.
So Dad, if you leave the root in the ground, does it mean more will grow from that?
No, it just means that the roots rot down in the ground and then feed the next crop.
Okay.
So to clean these up, I like to just kind of break them up like this into the individual plants. And then once we've done that, kind of just level them up and then cut the roots off. And then if there's any kind of dead leaves like that, just clean them up. And that's kind of pretty much perfect then.
Yeah.
And you can, of course, eat all the greens, which you never get in the shops, but taste lovely. And, of course, the stems as well.
Amazing.
There you go, Tess.
Thanks. Can't wait to have these for lunch.